Hello friends, welcome to my channel, and today we are going to discuss about the white matter of cerebrum, and we are going to discuss about the white matter under following headings. First we will see what is white matter, why it is important, then we will see its classification, how it is classified into three types of fibers, that is association, projection and communal fibers. So let us see what is white matter. So as you know, the structure of the brain or the cerebrum is divided into gray matter and white matter. Gray matter contains the cell bodies of the neurons and neuroglial cells and blood vessels, whereas the nerve fibers of these neurons, they form the white matter. So the gray matter area is called as the cortex, whereas the white matter is called as the medulla. Again, the white matter is organized into different tracts, funiculi, fasciculi, radiations and all. So depending upon the direction of the white matter. So let us see what is this. It underlies the cortex and contains three important components, that is nerve fibers, which are predominantly myelinated, and most of them are derived from the axons of the pyramidal cells of the beds in the cerebral cortex. If you see the histological structure of the cerebral cortex, it has 6 layers. In that you have a layer of pyramidal cells called as pyramidal cells of beds. They give out the axons or nerve fibers which form the white matter. And apart from the nerve fiber, it also contains the neuroglial cells, supporting cells and blood vessels. And coming to the classification of white matter, how it is classified? See, the white matter is classified into three sets of fibers depending upon the areas they connect within the same cerebral hemisphere or across the cerebral hemisphere or across the cerebrum and other parts of the brain. So when you see, it is divided into three types, that is association, projection and communal. So let us see why these are called as association, communal, projection and what they connect. So when you see the association fibers, they connect the same areas, they connect the different areas of the same hemisphere. When you see here, yes, they connect the different gyri of the same hemisphere. And association fibers can be short or long. When they connect, the short association fibers connect the two gyri, two adjacent gyri which are separated by a short distance. Or sometimes long association fibers, they connect two gyri which are separated by a considerable distance but within the same hemisphere. Remember that association fibers connect different areas in same hemisphere, whereas projection fibers, they project from cortex to subcortical gray areas. So they connect the cortex with the subcortical gray areas like basal ganglia, thalamus, brainstem and spinal cord. Whereas communal, remember, they are exactly opposite to association. What are association fibers? They connect different areas in same hemisphere, whereas communal, they connect the same areas of different hemisphere. If you see here, yes, they connect the two areas across the hemisphere. They connect the corresponding regions of both the hemisphere. So they connect the, for example, say the speech areas of the right side to left side, so that whatever the function learnt by the dominant side, it is also learnt by the non-dominant side. So it helps in transfer of these functions and learning. That is the function of these communal fibers. So when you see here, association fibers, as I told you, it connects what? It connects two different areas in same hemisphere like this. Whereas communal, they connect what? Yes, two same areas of different hemisphere. They communicate, communal. And projection fibers, they connect the cortex with the subcortical gray matter, that is thalamus, midbrain, pons, medulla or spinal cord or cerebellum, and it contains two sets, ascending and descending. So projection fibers mainly communicate the activities of the cortex to the subcortical gray areas. And coming to the association fibers, they connect what? They connect the cortical areas of the same hemisphere, and it consists of two sets, short and long, as we already seen in the picture. Short fibers connect the adjacent gyri, whereas long fibers connect the gyri which are separated by a considerable distance, and the gross dissection of the brain or cerebrum shows different types. So you can classify the association fibers into two types, short and long, depending upon the areas they connect by the distance, short and long. And long association fibers are further classified into cingulum, uncinate fasciculus, superior longitudinal fasciculus, inferior longitudinal fasciculus, and lastly fronto-occipital fasciculus, depending upon the areas they connect in the same hemisphere. So when you see cingulum, it is the arched association bundle of the limbic lobe that is concerned with emotions, and it lies within the cingulate gyrus which runs above the convexity of the corpus callosum, and fibers extends from below the rostrum of corpus callosum and run along the convexity of the corpus callosum, and finally they spread into parahippocampal cortex, and it forms of the Papez circuit, which is important in emotional integration. If you see here, this is the medial view of the right cerebral hemisphere with a dissected corpus callosum there. So it begins, cingulum begins just below the rostrum of the corpus callosum, then runs across the convexity of the corpus callosum, and finally terminates into the parahippocampal cortex. So you can see here one more figure showing the arched band that is called as cingulum. It is the association fibers connecting the different parts of the same cerebral hemisphere. And next, uncinate fasciculus. It hooks around the floor of the stem of the lateral sulcus and connects the Broca's area of the frontal lobe with the area 22 or Wernicke's of area of the temporal lobe, and involved in expression of speech. If you see here, that is the hemisphere showing the arched fiber here. It hooks around the floor of the lateral sulcus, stem of the lateral sulcus, connecting the two areas, Broca's area, that is called as motor area, involved in the expression of the spoken speech, connecting to the Wernicke's area. It is the auditory area, involved in the comprehension of the spoken language. Now I am using Broca's area and you are using Wernicke's area. It is happening now between you and me. I am using my Broca's area to speak the words, whereas you are understanding my words through your Wernicke's area, and a band connecting these two is called as uncinate fasciculus. It is involved in the expression of speech. If I ask you what is your name, you will reply your name, na? You will not tell I am from India, no, na? So Wernicke's area is concerned with the comprehension, understanding the language, whereas Broca's area is concerned with the expression of that, reaction to that question. If I ask you what is your name, you will tell your name, like Mahesh, Suresh, whatever it is, your name. So you are understanding my language via Wernicke's area and giving the response using your Broca's area. So this uncinate fasciculus connect both these areas, and it is involved in the expression of the speech. Very important. If it is damaged, there will be aphasia. If I ask your name, you will tell something else, because there is no communication between the what you can say sensory part and motor part of the speech. And here you can see the blue band is showing, that is uncinate fasciculus. Then coming to the superior longitudinal fasciculus, name itself says it lies above superior and runs across the length of the cerebral hemisphere. So it connects the occipital and frontal eye fields. It extends anteroposteriorly between the frontal lobe and occipital lobe and runs above the insula and lateral to corona radiata. So it is superficial. and lies near to the superlateral surface. That's what is called a superior longitudinal fasciculus. You can see here it is thick in the middle and fans out anteriorly and posteriorly. You can say it connects the frontal eye field with the occipital lobe. If you see here, yeah, that is the superior longitudinal fasciculus. If you see here, that is superior longitudinal fasciculus. It is thick in the middle and fibers fan out anteriorly and posteriorly, connecting the frontal lobe and occipital lobe. And it is said that they connect the occipital and frontal eye fields. Next, when you see one more fasciculus, that is inferior longitudinal fasciculus. So think what it should connect. It should connect the occipital lobe and temporal lobe because it is inferior and extends longitudinally along the lateral wall of the posterior horn of the lateral ventricle, which is located in the occipital lobe, and here it connects the occipital lobe and temporal lobes involved in the process of the memory. And you can see this is the MRI showing the inferior longitudinal fasciculus, and lastly fronto-occipital fasciculus. What it should connect. The name itself says it connects the frontal lobe with occipital lobe, but we have already seen that in superior longitudinal fasciculus. What is the location of superior longitudinal fasciculus? It lies above the insula and lateral to corona radiata, whereas this one, of course, it connects the frontal pole to the occipitotemporal lobes. It extends longitudinally along the medial part, whereas the superior longitudinal fasciculus was lying lateral to corona radiata. It lies medial to corona radiata. So it has some communication with the medial part of the hemisphere involving the corpus callosum and caudate nucleus. So it forms a subcallosal bundle occupying the interval between the corpus callosum and caudate nucleus. So you can say it is a medial part. It lies more medially and deep compared to superior longitudinal fasciculus. Here you can see that is superior longitudinal fasciculus was there, just like that it is fronto-occipital fasciculus. And coming to the projection fibers, what they do? They connect cerebral cortex with the subcortical gray matter of the basal ganglia, thalamus, nuclei of brainstem, spinal cord, via what? Via descending and ascending fibers. Descending fibers mainly are corticospinal, corticobulbar, corticorubral, corticoreticular, corticothalamic fibers, and ascending fibers in the form of optic radiation, auditory radiation, thalamic radiation, different thalamic radiations. So these all constitute projection fibers. So they connect from above to below. So projection fibers of the allocortex, that is the old cortex, are represented by the fimbria and fornix of the hippocampal formation, whereas the projection fibers of the neocortex, evolved brain, are represented by corona radiata and internal capsule. You can see here, that is the corpus callosum there, the limbic lobe. You can see the two fibers, fornix and fimbriae. These are the projection fibers of the limbic lobe, whereas the neocortex, that is the cortex and all, they lie deeper to cortex and fibers are arranged radially as corona radiata. Corona radiata means, corona means sun, radiata means radiation, like a radiations of the sun or a sun rays. You can see in the picture there. Just beneath the cortex, you can see how the fibers are arranged like a sun rays. That's why it's called as corona radiata. And as they go below, they form a sheath after the convergence called as internal capsule that passes between the thalamus and basal ganglia and continue in the midbrain, pons and medulla and spinal cord, and finally continue as corticospinal tract. You can see here, that is the cortex, and this is how the corona radiata runs down like the sun rays. You can see the arrow is showing, yes, just like your sun rays, and it forms a compact bundle between the thalamus and basal ganglia, different parts of basal ganglia, called as internal capsule, that we'll see later in detail. You can see here, what is internal capsule here? It's a bundle of projection fibers between the thalamus and basal ganglia that is located here, V-shaped compact band of projection fibers. It belongs to which cortex? Neocortex. And commigertal fibers, as we have already seen, they connect the corresponding regions of both the hemispheres, and they are different types. Corpus callosum, a C-shaped arched compact band of commigertal fibers, anterior commiger, hippocampal commiger, posterior commiger, and lastly habenular commiger. So we will see one by one these different types of commigertal fibers. So coming to corpus callosum, as I already told you, it is a bridge across the two hemispheres. It's a C-shaped compact band lying in the floor of median longitudinal fissure, which separates the two cerebral hemispheres incompletely and connects two cerebral hemispheres together. You can see here, if you see in this dissected image, yes, that is corpus callosum. You can see here the greenish area, that is corpus callosum, and it has different parts starting from the rostrum, then genu. Genu means bend, then body, and lastly the tail, splenium, or the, what you can say, thickened posterior part is called as splenium. So this is the corpus callosum. You can see here, this is the diffuse tensor imaging. You can see the corpus callosum having the different fibers connecting the two cerebral hemispheres. Next, the anterior commiger. The bundle of fibers run transversely in front of the fornix. There you can see the blue colored area, that is anterior commiger, and connects the inferior and middle temporal gyre and the olfactory region of the two hemispheres. You can see that in the MRI, sagittal section of the right cerebral hemisphere, and it processes the sharp pain involved in the processing of smell as it connects the two olfactory areas, emotions and speech, hearing and memory, as it is involved in it connects the prefrontal areas of the both sides, olfactory areas of the both sides. So it is involved in all these functions. And hippocampal commiger, no brainer, it connects the two hippocampal fibers. You can see there the commigers of the fornix transversely. So bundle of fibers run transversely between the crura of the fornix, connects to hippocampi. You can see here, these are two hippocampi, and here you can see that is hippocampal commiger connecting the two hippocampi. And posterior commiger, it is extracerebral. It is not a part of cerebrum, it is extracerebral. It's a rounded band of white fibers crossing the midline on dorsal aspect of the upper end of cerebral aqueduct. So it is mostly related to the midbrain rather than the cerebrum. It is located between the superior colliculus and pineal body, connects the left and right midbrain, plays an important role in the bilateral pupillary reflex. So posterior commiger act as a communication band between the right and left pretectal nuclei and involved in the bilateral pupillary reflex, that is the light reflex and consensual light reflex. You can see it is located there. And next, habenular commiger, it is located there just in front of the pineal gland. Yes, whereas the posterior commiger lies below the pineal gland, habenular commiger lies in front of the pineal gland, and it connects the habenular nuclei on both sides of the diencephalon, and it is involved in the sleep phase cycle, learning, stress response, pain processing, and reproductive behavior. So it's also a part of the limbic system. So this is in detail about the white matter of cerebrum. Again, we will discuss about the corpus callosum and internal capsule in detail. So, hope you understood the white matter. This is how it is organized and classified. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Please suggest your opinion and whatever the improvements you want to see in future videos. Thank you. Thank you very much.